Hello, welcome back. So in the last part we have seen the theoretical concepts for our vSphere network connectivity. So we have covered up to this point. Now let's move on to the practical steps. Now the first step for this particular module is power off all the virtual machines through following order. First, we need to power off Windows 11CL Nested VM, which is hosted by ESXi02. Then vCenter server Nested VM, which is hosted by ESXi01. Then ESXi02 itself, and then ESXi01 itself. Okay, and the last our Windows 2022 DC VM. So all the VMs we need to power off. And for saving the time, I have already powered off those VMs. All the three outer layer VMs as well as the nested VMs inside those, means total 5 VMs I have already powered off. Okay, so this step is already completed from my side. So let's move on to the next step. So next step is through Windows 2022 base VMware workstation, go to edit virtual network editor, change settings and add network, and we need to add one VMnet 0 bridge adapter which is directly bridged or mapped to my physical machine's physical NIC as shown in the sideline figure. So I have completed this step also, but just to show you practically. So I am going to, this is my VMware workstation console. I'm going to edit virtual network adapter and this is VMnet 0. Okay, I can click on change settings over here, and if I want to add, I can add more networks, but I have already added. So I have clicked on add network and I have added VMnet 0. Once I have added, it will give me those options. So I have selected bridged, and bridge to what it will ask me. So there is only one physical NIC on my physical workstation or a physical host machine. So I have bridged to my Realtek. Okay, once that is done, I have just clicked on OK. So this VMnet 0 has been created. Okay, so this step is also completed from my side. So let's move on to the next step. Now from this particular step we will be actually doing the practical steps. So next is add that VMnet 0 to two ESX host VMs, ESXi01 and ESX host 02 through VMware workstation VM settings. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to the settings option, and here you can see only two network adapters are there. One is your management, one is your SAN that we have already added in the previous modules. So I will add one more network adapter over here. So I will click on add, I will click on network adapter, I will click on finish, but don't say OK. It is by default taking it as a NAT, so we need to change it. So click on custom and select VMnet 0. Okay, so once I'm clicking OK, you can see VMnet 0 is added. Same thing I need to do for the ESXi02. Okay, so again I'm clicking on add network adapter, finish, and changing from NAT to VMnet 0. Okay, why VMnet 0? Because we have already created that VMnet 0 over here, which is further connected to my physical LAN, which is further bridged to my physical LAN. That's why VMnet 0. Okay, now as simple as that, once you are connecting that VMnet 0 to my VM, it will directly pass on my physical network's connectivity, whichever it is, to my VMs also. So it's a bridge adapter, as simple as that. Okay, we have already explained it in our diagram over here, right? So I'm not going into detail again. So next step is start following VMs. First we need to start a DC, then we need to start ESXi01, then we need to start ESXi02, and finally we need to start vCenter server, which is our nested VM. So all those 4 VMs we need to start one by one. Now it might take 10 to 15 minutes to start. So what I'm doing is I'm just starting a DC first, and then I'm pausing this video. By the time I'm starting the rest of the VMs also. Okay, so my DC is getting started. Once I'm back online with all those 3 VMs and plus my vCenter nested VM, I'm coming back to you with the next step. So till the time I'm just pausing this video. Alright, so I have started all the 3 VMs plus the nested virtual machine of vCenter server also inside ESXi Host 01. Okay, so all the 4 VMs are currently online. So before moving on to the next step, we need to log into our VCSA server first. So you can see over here, this is my local web UI console of ESXi Host 01. So through which I have started my vCenter server VM also. I'm just closing it as of now, and I'm opening my vCenter server login. Just logging with the administrator SSO account. Alright, so we have logged in with our VCSA server console, and our both ESX hosts are showing as connected. Okay, so now let's move on to our next practical step. So we have completed up to this step. So next step is through vCenter web console, open ESX host underscore DC, that is your ESX host cluster, and go to networks and distributed switches. Before going to that step, I need to explain you why we are going to this level. Okay, whatever components you are applying over here, whatever components you are creating over here, whatever rules you are setting up over here, it will be directly or indirectly applied to the sub components. So we need to create a virtual distribution switch on this level so that that virtual distribution switch can be accessible, or both the ESX host can be added into that virtual distribution switch. Okay, just like an parent and child folders concept over here. So this is the parent level kind of a cluster, ESX host cluster, and these are the ESX hosts. So on the parent level, ESX host DC, I will click on there, and there is an option called networks over here, and there is an option called distributed switch. Okay, now let's see over here. We need to right click on that one. So through actions, we can right click also. Through actions also, we can go to distribution switch and click new distributed switch. Okay, so what I'm doing over here is again ESX host DC, that is cluster, distributed switch, actions, and you can see distribution switch, new distribution switch. Okay, same option I can go for here also, distribution switch, new distribution switch. Okay, either way you can do. Now next is we need to provide the name for our virtual distribution switch and click next. So location is our ESX host DC cluster, and name you can give anything. So I'm just giving the name as per my PPT sheet so that it will not be a confusion. So VDS dash internet. Okay, and now I will say next. Next is we need to select the version of our virtual distribution switch. So specify the latest version for your distribution switch and click next. So these are the different versions over here. VDS. So my current VCSA is running on this version only, so I will be selecting the latest version only. Okay, if you are having some backward compatibility issues, or if you are having some different ESX hosts or different VCSA servers also in enterprise level, you can choose your appropriate version. As of now, I'm just selecting 8.0.3. I will say next. Next option is we need to select some of the values over here. So first of all, we need to select the number of uplinks. So we need only one uplink, and then the DP port group name we need to specify. So I can give the port group name as internet test PG. Okay, so number of uplinks you can specify depending upon your network infra. As of now, I'm just selecting one, and port group name just giving as per my choice. Okay, and now I will say next. So we have already clicked next over here. So next is on ready to complete page. Verify the summary and click finish. So this is the summary. We have created one virtual distribution switch called VDS Internet. Version is 8.0.3. Uplink is 1, and our default port group name is Internet Test PG. Okay, and I will say finish. Don't think about the next steps as yet. We will see step by step. Finish. Okay, and now you can see under the distribution switches there is a VDS and dash internet VDS switch or virtual distribution switch has been created. Okay, so next step is of course to verify under ESXi Host DC networks distributed switches. Verify that the new VDS underscore internet distribution switch has been created successfully. So that's we have already verified over here. Let's move on to the next step. Next step is now we need to add our both ESXi host in this VDS internet switch. So right click newly created VDS internet distributed switch and select add manage host. I'll right click on it and I will say add and manage host over here. Okay. So next step is under select task add host. Next. So we need to add the host. If you are already added, you can have an option for remove host and manage host networking as a third option. As of now, first option, add hosts. Next. Next is we need to select the hosts. So we need to select both the ESX host 01 and 02 and click next. So in an enterprise network, you can select whichever host you want to add from the multiple. So as of now, we need to add both those. So select both the hosts. Next. So next is under manage physical adapters, select VMNIC2 network adapter connected to internet, uplink 1 and next. Okay, now before just clicking selecting this and clicking next, I need to show you some options why we are doing this, why we are selecting VMNIC. Okay, so coming back to our diagram over here, I told you right, VMNIC, this is VMNIC2 for ESXi01 and this is VMNIC2 for ESXi02. Both VMNICs, those are virtual adapters, are connected to virtual bridge adapter of VMware workstation, and this bridge adapter is directly connected to my physical NIC. So I need to have a connectivity between this VDS, that is our virtual distribution switch, and my VMK2 or VMNIC2. Okay, that's why I'm selecting this VMNIC2. This VMNIC2, again I'm telling you, is VMNIC2 is this one connected to this VM0, VMNIC2, this one connected to VM0. Don't get confused over here. And this VM0 is connected to my physical NIC. That's why this VMNIC2 I need to add to my virtual switch. So I'm selecting this one now. Okay. I think I have closed it accidentally. So let's repeat those steps. Both ESX hosts next and VMNIC2, and select your uplink. How many uplinks we have just selected while creating this? Only one. So that's why VMNIC2. Okay. And now I will say next. Next is on manage VM kernel adapters. We don't need to change anything, and we just need to click next, because we are not assigning any additional port groups over here. So I will say next. So as of now, we are not adding any VM kernel adapters, but we will create one additional VM kernel adapter later, okay, to assign to the new virtual switch port group. So that we will be doing later on. Next is on migrate VM networking. Again, we don't have to change anything over here, and we just need to click next. Now ready to complete. Verify the summary and click finish. So we have added 2 hosts and we have added 2 physical adapters. Why 2 physical adapters? VMNIC2, one adapter each for one host. So that's why 2 physical adapters. Now it might be saying physical adapter, but for our lab setup it is a virtual adapter. Don't get confused over here. But in a real production scenario, it can be a physical adapter. So host added 2, physical adapters 2. I will say finish. Let's move on to the next step. Now we need to add the VM kernel adapters. Okay, so through host and clusters, select ESX host 01, configure networking, VM kernel adapters, add networking. Okay, now before going to this step, let's go back over here. As I said, we need to create the VM kernel adapters, one each for our ESX host. Okay, so that this VM kernel adapter, this virtual adapter, can flow down your internet connectivity to my nested VM. Okay, this is physical network adapter for ESX host. Although it is a virtual, let's assume it's a physical one in real production. So it's a physical one. Now we need to create one VM kernel adapter, one each for ESX host 01 and 02. Okay, so as of now we are going for ESX host 01 only. Okay, so we need to go to the host and clusters, ESX host 01, then configure networking, VM kernel adapters, add networking. So I'm coming back here. Now we need to go one level down, not cluster level, ESX host 01. Okay, we need to click on configure. Let me maximize this, and here in this particular menu we need to select VM kernel adapters. Okay, so there are already 2 VM kernel adapters which are existing for management network and SAN network. We need to add one more, so I will click on add networking. Okay, now through the first window, select connection. We need to select VM kernel network adapter and next. So VM kernel network adapter, next. Next step is we need to map this VM kernel adapter to our port group and distributed switch. So through select target device, select an existing network. Network will be internet test PG and distributed switch will be VDS. So network means port group. And next, so select an existing network, internet test PG, that is your port group, and it is already mapped to my VDS internet distributed switch, so it will automatically connect. Okay, try to understand what we are actually doing. Okay, coming back to my diagram, I'm again and again coming back to my diagram just to explain you guys. This VDS switch we have created, this internet test PG is a logical segment port group. Now this both components needs to be mapped to my VM kernel adapters. You can see over here this green line, VM kernel adapter. Again green line, VM kernel adapter, right? So I'm just doing that over here. Okay, select existing network, port group, VDS switch. I will say next. So through port properties, don't select anything and select next. Now over here there are lots of services mentioned over here: vMotion, provisioning, vSAN, and all these things. All those are services for ESX hosts. Okay, so we can use this network connectivity for any of the service, but as of now we are not using this for any of the service. We are using it for internet connectivity. So I don't have to select anything over here. I will just say next over here. Next step is under IP4 version setting, provide values as follows and click next. So we need to provide the IP for our VM kernel adapter and subnet mask. Okay, so I will say use static IP. I will give the IP. Remember, this is ESX host 01's IP. Okay, VM kernel's IP 192.168.1.7, and subnet mask will be, of course, okay, 255, 255, 255, 0. Again, coming back to my diagram, we are doing this one as of now. We are at this step 192.168.1.7 ESX host 01 VM kernel adapter. Okay, let the DNS as it is. I will say next. Now next step is ready to complete. Verify the summary, VM kernel adapter creation summary, and click finish. So distributed port group, internet SBG, distributed switch, VDS connect, internet, everything is fine as of now. Okay, IP address is 1.7 static and then subnet mask. I will say finish, and you can see over here now VMK2 has been appeared. So I have created one VM kernel adapter for ESX01, one adapter, given the IP, given the subnet mask over here. Okay, now we have given the IP, we have given the subnet mask also, but the most important one is we have created uplink also, but the most important thing is we need to give the default gateway for this VM kernel adapter, because unless you are having a default gateway, the internet will not flow down to this particular VM kernel adapter and invariably to your nested VM also. How to assign this gateway and which one to assign, which IP we need to give the gateway, anyone? We need to give the IP 192.168.1.1. This is my ISP router. This gateway I need to assign to VMK adapter of ESX host 01. Okay, so let's move on to the next step. So we have already verified that VMK2 is created. So through host and clusters, select ESXi01 configure networking VM kernel adapters, verify that new VM kernel adapter has been created successfully. So VMK2 over here. So if I am coming back here, VMK2 has been created. Okay. Next step is, now we need to add the gateway. So here we need to use one small command to assign the IP. So next step is through ESX host 01. Since we are working on ESX host 01, we need to start the SSH session or the putty session and enter the following command. So command is like this: ESXi network IP root IP4 add network default gateway 192.168.1.1. So what I'm doing is, I'm coming back to my PPT and I'm copying this particular whole command so that we don't have to type it manually. I have copied it. I'm coming back to my DC system and I'm opening the SSH session of my ESX host 01. If you remember, our internal IP is 10.1.1.7. Okay. Don't forget the previous modules. Okay. 192 range is only for the internet connectivity. Our internal management IP range is still 10.1. Whatever it is. Correct. So I'm just opening the session, logging with the root account. Now I will paste that particular command over here, and you can see the command over here: ESXi network IP root IP4 add network default gateway 192.168.1.1. Okay, this gateway we are actually giving to ESX host 01's virtual machine kernel adapter. Okay, this particular VMK we are giving the gateway. Okay, which gateway we are giving? 192.168.1.1. Okay, so I'm just entering over here. That's it. It will not give you any confirmation as such. How to check it? That we are doing now in the next step. So next step is, now we need to ping two IPs over here. So continue with ESXi01 putty SSH session. Test the internet connectivity through two ping commands. First, we need to ping our, of course, default gateway, that is ISP broadband router gateway, and second is your public DNS IP. Google public DNS is 8888. So let's see whether both the pings are getting connected or not, or pings are getting successful or not. Okay, coming back here, ESX host 01, and I will say ping 192.168.1.1 over here. We are pinging the router first. Okay, still internet connectivity is the next step. Router first. So ping over here. Sorry, my bad. I have put in the wrong one. Okay, this should work. But let me just clear the screen. Remember, we are pinging this IP 192.168.1.1 over here. Okay, so I will just type ping 192.168.1.1. Okay, and you can see it is pinging. So our gateway connectivity is fine. Now next is, we need to ping our Google DNS. This will give us a confirmation whether our ESX host is having internet connectivity or not. And you can see it is pinging 8.8.8.8. okay, this is the real public IP, real internet external IP. okay, so both the IPs are pinging. That means our ESX host 01 is having internet connectivity. okay, we are still not on nested VM level, but we have crossed the first level. okay, so let's move on to the next step. So we need to repeat the steps from 457 to 465 on ESX host 02. So I'm going back to step number 457 so that we will not have any confusion over here. So 457, I need to add one VM kernel adapter on ESX host 02. Whatever we have done on ESX host 01, same thing we have to repeat on ESX host 02. I am clicking on ESX host 02. Again, networking VM kernel adapters. You can see VMNet 2 is not added. I will say add networking VM kernel network adapter. Next, select an existing network, internet test PG, VDS internet. Next, we don't have to change anything over here. Next, use static IP address. Here, I will give the static IP address as 192.168.1.16. We are doing this one now. okay, we have completed this portion, we are doing this one now. okay, virtual machine kernel adapter to ESX host 02. okay, 1.16 subnet mask 0. That's it, don't have to change anything. Next, summary is fine, finish. okay, VMK2 has been created. okay, so we have completed 458 also, 459 also, 60 also, 61 also, 62 also, right? VMK2 has been connected. And now for last command, we need to again put that gateway through SSH session. okay, so I'm coming back here, copying this command, going back to my DC machine, and I'm just entering the SSH session for ESXi02. Now enter the command. I have entered, and now let's test the ping. First ping is my router, it is pinging. Next ping is my Google DNS, it is pinging. okay, now these steps may look very simple and straightforward to you guys, but believe me, I have been struggling to streamline this procedure from last 2 to 3 weeks. I have created this PPT many times, I have created this lab setup many times, again and again, just to streamline this procedure. okay, so now both ESXi01 and ESXi02 are having internet connectivity. okay, so let's move on to the next step. So this step we have completed. This also we have completed on ESX host 02, and we have repeated all the steps on second host also, right? So let's move on to the next step. Now next step is through your VCSA console ESX host 02, Windows 11CL, edit settings, add new device, select network adapter. Now remember, we have started all the VMs so far, but we have not started our Windows 11CL yet. Why? Because we need to add our network device. Okay, so I will right click on that Windows CL, edit settings, and I will add a new device. I will select network adapter, and now you can see new network over here. Now before going to this one, let's move on to our PPT. So under new network option, expand VM network and click on browse. So I will click on browse new network, expand this option, click on browse, and you can see our internet test PG. This option is visible. This is our port group. Our default VM network is for internal connectivity, and for this internet test PG is for external or internet connectivity. Believe me, for getting this option over here, I have struggled for 2-3 weeks. But now, since I have streamlined this procedure, this option is always visible. Okay, so I will select this one. I will say OK. Internet test PG. Okay. So the next step we have already completed. Under select network, choose internet test PG. OK. Twice. Okay. So here also internet test PG. I will say OK. Fine. Next step. Power on Windows 11CL Nested VM and log in with the ESXi admin account. So I'm starting this VM now. It will take 2 minutes or so to start, and once I'm logging in, with the ESXi admin, taking the RDP of Windows 11CL VM, I will come back to you with the next step. Alright, our Windows 11CL is fully online now. Let's take the RDP of it. I'm taking RDP directly from my main machine. Now it is loading the session, and once it is loaded, it should show the internet connectivity. Okay, so by the time it is loading, verify that Windows 11CL Nested VM is having internet connectivity through taskbar networking icon. So now this is my Windows 11CL machine, and you can see over here it is showing internet access for the second network, right? Okay, but still we will verify it further. So through Windows 11 CL CMD window, ipconfig all command verify that the system has got valid DHCP router IP and internet configuration. Okay, so what I'm doing is just opening the command prompt. Remember, this is Windows 11 CL machine. I'm just entering now ipconfig/all. And you can see over here it is showing two IP configurations. Sorry. First is your internal connectivity, that is your AD connectivity 10.1.1.43 that we have already defined in the previous modules. Second one now that we have just added, it has taken directly a DHCP IP 192.168.1.43, gateway is 1.1, right? And the most important part, DNS servers are my internet DNS servers. Okay, so I hope up to this point everyone is clear. Okay, so this is your Ethernet adapter. Ethernet 1 is your internet connection. This is your router IP, gateway IP, DHCP IP, both are same, and this is your public DNS IPs, and this is the DHCP IP given by my ISP router to this Windows 11 CL. Okay, this is the internet configuration. Now let me close this and let's browse any of the site if possible. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just copying the Mozilla browser, installing it in next 5 minutes. Once that is done, I will come back to you with the next step. Alright, so I have installed my browser over here in Firefox on Windows 11 CL, and I will just type so now you can see the internet connectivity is working all fine over here. Okay, so let's move on to the last confirmation. So finally, browse any internet public site through Windows 11 CL VM, which we have already done. Okay, so this completes this particular module. In the next module, we will see the same procedure from the beginning. How to do this? We have done this through VCSA GUI option. See over here. Next module, we will see how to do the same thing through VCSA Power CLI option. Those are the commands through which a PowerShell module commands through which we can achieve the same objective. Okay, so thanks all for your timing for watching this particular video. This is your host signing off from Swaroop IT Solutions. If you like this particular video, do share it with your IT colleagues, and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much once again. Have a good day.